The ambition I had was since he's the head of the Swiss Guard, and they have to be not only from rural Switzerland, they've done their military service and be Catholics and believers. So I made him a very strong believer, and he's good at what he does. But being a strong believer, he also believes that he has the answer to everything, which means that he has a, let's call it a doubt deficit. And that is something very dangerous. And I think that is what frustrates you. I met with Ron Howard to talk about it, and there wasn't any script yet. But I said I wanted to work with him if he had something that could be interesting. So then he came back with this script, and they had put together several characters of the book, because there wasn't really any character in the book for me that I was interested in. So they put together several characters, and they wrote a character that became interesting and that you could play with a certain kind of punch to it, and then it became interesting. But I was just happy to hang out with those guys because they were very nice. And also he rehearses before, so a lot of discussions you're done with when you start shooting. You don't have to have discussions on the set, which is great. And he knows what he's doing. He listens to everybody, but he makes the decisions. And he's a nice guy. And everybody's nice. There's no screaming, no big egos, and that's so wonderful. I hate working with egos, because a big ego, that's an indication of inflation, and I don't like that. So I want everybody to be equal and friendly. In medieval times, a lot of princes and kings and people of power, they hired mercenaries, because if they had their own army, they couldn't trust it, because their own army could the next day go with your brother who was stabbing your back, or your cousin, or there was too many people involved around them. So they had to bring in troops that were neutral and only loyal to you because you paid them. So Swiss Guards there were a lot of Swiss Guards all over Europe. Even the unlucky King Louis XVI, who got his head chopped off, he was defended unsuccessfully by some Swiss Guards, but their protection was more like Swiss cheese, obviously. But so it was very common, and in 1506 the Swiss Guard at the Vatican was established, and has been almost since then. It's been off a couple of times, but in principle they've had it since. We shot some locations in Rome, but we didn't shoot the Vatican or St. Peter's Square, and it was built outside of... St. Peter's Square was built by the racetracks, by Los Angeles Airport, which was not so romantic. But it gives you a lot of freedom. You don't have to deal with a lot of tourists, and also we weren't allowed to shoot everywhere because, let's put it mildly, that the Vatican was not very supportive of the project because of fear. People love conspiracies for some reason, and I like them in fiction, but usually there are no conspiracies, because usually people can't keep their mouth shut, so we would know if there were any. But they have a great entertainment value. But in this case, I think that the amount of publicity the Vatican has given the book and the books and the films, it's I mean, it's worth millions in publicity.